All right, howdy y'all. Back again with another video. It's so funny. I released the other video like 2 days ago, 3 days ago, whatever, and I swear to God, I have had like a bajillion hours of conversations about it. It's just been so fun, so cool. And just talking about it with people just is some of the most fascinating stuff in the world because everyone has a unique experience with it. Everyone comes to this in their own unique fashion. I went through it because I lived in Thailand in 2015 and I got exposed to Buddhism, and I spent a lot of times with Buddhist monks in the Buddhist temples, and I was like, why is your energy so like that? I live in America, like it's not like that there. I've never encountered somebody like that. And that was kind of the seed plant. And then I ended up getting sober, and then I ended up fiddling around with religion and philosophy, and I started noticing all these patterns and stuff like that. And then like the quantum mechanics, quantum physics, all of this science stuff was coming out about this, and I was like, oh, there's totally an overlap with spirituality and energy work and blah blah blah. And then I figured out that spirit equals power equals energy. Okay, so whenever you hear Holy Spirit, it's really talking about energy. Higher power, it's really talking about energy. It's kind of cool, right? So let's get back into our quantum state learning. And so if you didn't watch the intro video, please go back and do it, because we're going to talk about, which is the really fun part for me, instant manifestation and frequencies, low frequency versus high frequency, and kind of like developing that understanding of the law of attraction, law of assumption, and all that. So you can get into instant manifestation right now if you want. I'm going to hopefully answer some of your questions by visuals, because I think a lot of the coaches on YouTube and etc., wherever, internet, whatever, are all very like talk-based, word-based. And so it's hard to understand what they're saying if you don't have a graphic and a map in front of you. So what I'm hoping to do is provide you this map, so that way you can transcend into your instant manifestations a lot easier. Okay, where to begin? There's so much. Okay, so let's go back to the levels of consciousness. So this is also like low frequency versus high frequency. Okay, low frequency versus high frequency. So really what this is, and I'm going to use Hertz as an example. So we're using that scale again, right? We're kind of going up. If you are familiar, so there's a lot of things with signs and symbols and stuff like that. So you'll always see circles, and circles are like the circle of life, all that, whatever. But really, if you turn it on its side, it's usually a spiral upward. Okay, so that's the path that we're really taking. And you can go back to Buddhism, and they do the whole, I'm gonna draw it this way. Woo. That's the unilome, right? But if you were to actually turn the unilome on its side, it would also just be a spiral upwards. So this is the path, right? We're not really in a 2D dimension, we're in a 3D dimension. But if you want to get into energy, we're actually in an expansive this arrow going upwards is actually going this way and 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 this way, etc., 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 right? So that's really where we're going. But for our tiny human brains, it's just easier to go in one direction, but really you're going in all directions. So we're going to talk about low frequency to high frequency. So remember that we are dealing with our emotions, right? There is like fear, let's go with shame, guilt. That is a low frequency. And for all intents and purposes, we're going to call that 0. But there are a bunch of frequency charts. So if you just Google like energy charts, like you'll see this. It's a common scale. And so I'm just interpreting what I understand it as easily, but you can see the various designs of that scale on the internet. Energy scales, Google it. This is just my interpretation of it. So like shame, fear is like, shame and guilt is 0. Fear, is like 2. Anger is like 4. Then you get into like neutrality, which is like 6. Again, the numbers will vary based on whatever chart you're looking at. And then you get like to peace, which is like 8. love, which is 10, bliss, which is 12, and then like enlightenment. Okay. But there's more. There's more. Okay. It goes past enlightenment. Okay, so for all intents and purposes, for this chart, I might create other videos where I reference this as different numbers, but you get the gist. So we're going from low frequency to high frequency. I never like to call them negative emotions because I don't believe that there's a negative emotions. I just believe that there's low frequencies versus high frequencies. So this is what happens when you are elevating your consciousness, when you are going from 1D, right? 1D to the 3D, right? This is where the majority of humanity exists. They live in fear-based communication. So like, think about every news headline is fear-mongering. A lot of religion is fear-mongering, fear of God, all that stuff. God is Holy Spirit, holy energy. And so that's a 3D interpretation of what God and the divine is. That's technically incorrect. Not to insult anyone, but that is that is technically incorrect. So as you go up the scale, you know, like 4D, 5D, blah, 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 you get into higher consciousness. You are raising your frequency. You're raising your vibe. Okay. So what ends up happening, it's like a radio dial, right? So say you're over here and this is like 98.7 FM, right? So what's going to happen if you're on a 1D or 2D, 3D scale, if you're at fear, you're going to attract, because there's a magnetism involved in this, you're going to attract people who operate at that frequency, the 98.7. I know you can't read that. Let me redraw it. 98.7. So this is our radio dial, right? So you're like, if you were to tune it on an analog radio, you would probably be able to pick up this channel on like 98.4 or whatever. Or I guess there's no even numbers, 98.3 and like 99.1. Like you'd probably get the same radio station kind of in those wavelengths, right? Radio wavelengths, because it's kind of close together. But if you were to tune into 100.9 FM or whatever, when you tune that channel, those drop off and now you're on a completely different frequency, right? You're listening to completely different music. The same thing happens when you're operating at a 2D, 3D consciousness, fear, anger, whatever. You're going to attract people that vibe on your same wavelength. When you start elevating and you're operating out of state of love, those people, that stuff, those headlines, that social media account, all of that stuff is going to start dropping off in a natural way because it's magnetism, right? We're not dealing with I like you, I don't like you. It's literally attraction or repellent, right? Because we're dealing in energy. This is not based on human emotions anymore. It's literally the frequency that you carry within. So then you will increase your frequency and you'll tune into a different station of the universe, and you're going to like start attracting in people who are more loving, who are more kind, who are more generous. And that's how that works. This is you, and this is your awareness of the quantum state, and you are literally fine-tuning yourself. You go, burp. Okay. So that's how that works. We have to remember that there's magnetism involved, okay, and elevation involved. Okay, so we're going to go back to my favorite diagram. Okay, we've learned all that. So in terms of instant manifestation, I'm going to draw myself again. Boop, boop, boop. Happy. Ba, ba, ba. Today, I'm not going to have a pizza dress. I'm going to have a cupcake dress. Okay. So we're back in the quantum state. I'm going to switch my pen. So again, if you did not watch my video about the introduction to this diagram, go back and watch it. So to recap, Each one of these are dimensions. Either it's a memory, a dream, a trauma, an emotion that you have, whatever, a desire, a hope, a devastation, whatever. Each one of those has its own frequency, and that's why there's infinite, right? Infinite dimensions and infinite frequencies. And those all exist outside of you, and those all exist within you too, okay? So when we talk about instant manifestation, this is really what this is. These are all fear lines, okay? And I want you to think about this like an electric fence, okay? In order to get to the next dimension, you have to go through this like electric barrier, and it feels kind of painful. Like low key, like at the very beginning, when you're starting to like really get in tune with the universal frequencies, it's going to be painful, and it's going to feel like anxiety, and it's going to push up all of your fears, okay? Your fears, your anger, your resentment, your jealousy, because this energetic boundary is the old you. It's lower frequency consciousness, right? And in order to transcend into the next dimension, you have to overcome that fear. You have to ride through it. Whatever you need to do to get around the fear, you have to overcome it. In instant manifestation videos, they'll call it persisting. Okay. And one of the things that you have to do is you have to understand what you're encountering, right? This is, this is going to be doubt. This is going to be wavering. This is going to be low self-concept. This is going to be lack of trust. Okay. And it's going to feel like what am I doing? Like, I can't get through this. I can't break it. And sometimes you can't. Sometimes you can't to transcend to the next dimension, right? So say like you have up here your dream job. Okay. There is some fear that you are plucking, right? And the fun part about this is that you have to now tune back your dial and figure out where, these are all fear lines, right? You're writing the fear. You have to figure out where in your infinite frequency dimension, however you need to go, is you're going to encounter something that you have to transmute into unconditional love for yourself. And the way that you break through fear is by doing that. Okay. It's the easiest pathway forward. And once you start breaking through, you're breaking through, okay, you'll get there. But you have to understand what you're up against. If you are trying to come through here and it's not allowing you to go through, start tuning your frequencies to a different channel. Okay? You have to try to figure out which frequency, which dimension you need to traverse through, because you're not being allowed to magnetize through that. If that makes any sense. Okay? So here's the thing. So if you go back to the old video, we talked about like childhood dimensions, teen dimensions, whatever. And like the ideal thing is for you to go through every single one of those dimensions, find the root emotion, sadness, and transmute it to, or maybe this is anger, right? Brr. So here's the cool thing. So if you start developing your instant manifestation skill set, what ends up happening when you start flipping over the fear lines into love lines, right? You're actually expanding your gravitational pull, okay? So instead of your gravitational pull only being like this, like a small orbit, you're gonna start making your gravitational pull bigger and then bigger. And what ends up happening when you are in the state of peace, love, bliss, whatever. You're fine-tuning those things. You're running around the fear, you're overturning the fear, you're transcending through it, you're persisting through it, you're breaking through it, you're transmuting it into unconditional love. You're overcoming the fear in however way that you need to do it. Maybe you need to go sing karaoke on a stage. Maybe you need to ask for more money at work. Maybe you need to tell somebody no. Maybe you need to break up with somebody who, like, whatever it is, it's overturning that fear into unconditional love. You then start being really magnetic. And instead of you having to do all of these steps and work and fear-based work, blah, 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 what ends up happening is those things are just naturally going to come towards you. You don't even really have to do anything but take inspired action, okay? Because all of a sudden, these fear lines no longer exist, okay? You're getting rid of all of this stuff. So I'll redraw this. So you're here, right? Here's me. Oops. I always wear my glasses. So it ends up starting to look like this. And then what happens, because this is all love and bliss and joy, your dream job is now something that just comes naturally to you. You don't have to go to it. It will come to you. And that's instant manifestation. So the more that you are in this state and in elevating these states per each frequency, and once you do a couple of frequencies, like you'll do all of them very quickly. The first like 5 to 10 are going to be hard, but then you get like, really good at doing it because you have to be a conduit for the energy. So as you're doing the transmutation work, so you're working on your self-concept, right? When you're doing the transmutation work, there's going to be runoffs of energy. You're going to go in and you're going to like breathe into your body and you're going to clear out the old stagnant energy. And it's going to come out of your body in terms of tears or, crying, being really angry and stuff like that. And remember, emotions are an echo of your old self, right? That was from a coaching video I saw. This is very important. So when you're feeling those emotions, that's stagnant energy that's trying to come out of your body. So you need to let yourself cry. You need to let yourself be angry, because what's going to happen is it's going to create a void state. Okay. This was all filled with stagnant energy. It's coming out. That's an arrow. And then it's going to transform. It's going to change because energy does not, it's not created nor destroyed. It just transforms. And then you're going to have all of the energy out of here. And you're going to come into an empty vessel state. It's called the void state. And what you do here is now you can reevaluate what you want to manifest. And one thing to sustain your manifestations is entering in through a state of gratitude. Gratitude is like, I don't even know how to relate it. It's gratitude is like a magnet for the higher frequencies. It's like saying thank you, and so like the universe is going to be like, oh, they like, she likes that, he likes that, they like that, like I'm going to just keep giving them what they like. If you're grateful for fear, guess what, the universe is going to keep you delivering you fear. But if you're grateful for bliss, because you can get into your bliss state, then the universe will continue to send you this because it's like a magnet. If you can get to your bliss state in a sober state of mind, which I will go into another video about sobriety, celibacy, and then taking a vow of poverty, that all kind of tunes into like understanding universal frequencies. But if you can get into the bliss state in a sober state of mind, that's optimal. That's totally the way that you want to do it. You don't want to get into a bliss state using, weed, psychedelics, or alcohol. You want to get there naturally so you can understand the frequencies of the universe in a sober state. This is why, like, meditation, like the Buddhist monks are primarily, not all of them, but that's why a lot of old, yogi religion, or spiritual practices encourage sobriety, because you need to get there by your own brain, and whatever you need to do in order to get to the bliss state, maybe it's working out more, whatever it is to clear out that stagnant energy. Maybe it's going to therapy. Maybe it's talking to people. Maybe it's setting boundaries. Whatever it is, you need to figure out how to get there on your own, using this map, if you want to call it that. So you need to get here to a state of gratitude. And then once you have the gratitude and it's an empty void state, you're going to have new higher frequency energy come in. And it's going to feel freaking amazing. You're going to love it. Okay. And then you sustain it with more gratitude. And when you get to this point, everything starts coming towards you quick, fast, and amazing. Okay. So just keep that in mind. You go as fast as you want to. There's nothing stopping you except for yourself. Like, if you want to start doing that, you need to raise your frequency internal, and all you have to do is work on your internal. Like, you don't have to worry about the 3D. You don't have to worry about anything around you, because all you have to do is you get in tune. You get in tune with whatever channel you want to be on. You just practice gratitude, and then you have to do some things, but most of the time you don't. So you need to be in a state of relax. And that's another reason why to not do drugs or alcohol, is because alcohol messes with your nervous system, and it messes with your brain, and you need your brain and you need your nervous system to feel through the frequencies of the universe. So again, sobriety is optimal here. You need to be in a relaxed mode, in a receiving mode, which means that you're just open-minded, and grateful. This is optimal. You don't have to be like this in order to receive it, but it's just going to be more pleasant if you do this. So relax, receiving, open-minded, and grateful. And if you can sustain that, obviously life is life and there might be stresses, whatever, and that's okay. Like, if you can be in this, you will get what they call inspired action. You will be so motivated or determined to do something that you're going to go out and do it, because you're in full total alignment with whatever your manifestation of whatever your goal is, that you're going to want to take that action to do it. Maybe it's learning about tax code. Maybe you never wanted to learn about tax code ever before, but you understand that in order to bring that in closer, you have to do some of the work. Because it wouldn't be fun and challenging if you didn't have to do some work, So you then, binge watch YouTube videos about tax code, and within 3 days, you're a freaking master at the, whatever country you live in, tax code. And you take that inspired action and you bring it over. But then I would ask you, what was stopping you from learning that tax code before? It was probably fear. There was probably some sort of fear. Maybe it was the fear of success that prevented you from going there, but because you overcame that, you expanded yourself, right? By learning. Learning is always a manner of expansion. And that will increase your magnetism, and your dream job will come in faster. So hopefully you got a lot out of that. That is the basis of instant manifestation. Ride the frequencies. You're going to encounter the energetic barriers. This is the fear barrier, the energetic fence, if you want to call it. Like, it'll give you a little bit of an electric shock. And if you can't break through that barrier, you have to fine tune yourself to a different channel. And then you're going to kind of wander around the quantum state until you find the path of least resistance. And then that's how you can break through it. A lot of people talk about persisting. You can just keep knocking on this door until it breaks through. But if that's not doing it easier, switch what you're focused on and stuff like that, and it'll just come in later. Yeah, I think that's it. I think I got that down pretty well. I don't know about you. If you have any questions, just pop them in the comments, and then I can make more videos based on whatever all of this is. Again, it's a lot, but if you understand like the high level concepts, it's going to make it so much easier to get this done. And remember, the quantum state, yes, instant manifestation, so cool, but there's more. There is so much more that is involved in this. So yeah, you can have your dream car, but I can guarantee you when you transcend your dreams and desires, you know, this whole row of dream relationship, dream hobbies, whatever, dream, not to say that you can't enjoy it, but there's more. This transcends money. This transcends physical possessions. This transcends religion. This transcends schooling. This transcends education. This transcends everything. The concept, and that's not to say you can't enjoy it, but all of that stuff is limited in some capacity. You will get to a fear barrier in each one of those as the mainstream goes. But when you get into the quantum state, boom, it's infinite and all of it exists. And I will stop there. Enjoy the sober drug trip. I hope you do. I know I did. All right. Take care, guys. Good night.